I must not get caught up in line edits. I must not get caught up in line edits. I just need to focus on the big picture and getting this ready for beta readers. First batch are out and look at those. They look very tasty. So that was why I wanted to make sure that female friendship was front and center in this story as opposed to the romance. Good morning and welcome back to another vlog. So we're in the kitchen, so you know what's coming. We are baking. So I am a big fan of all things peanut butter, so if you're allergic, this may not be the recipe for you. It is in fact definitely not the recipe for you. But if you're a big fan of peanut butter, I am making essentially the easiest peanut butter cookies that you will ever make. All you need is peanut butter. The kind of junky stuff I find is better. This is not the peanut butter that I would eat on toast or sandwiches. That is the very nice peanuts only peanut butter. But this one, the kind of value brand that is literally £1 for this tub, is perfect for this because I am not wasting my £6 1 kilo tub of peanut butter on making cookies because that is just too expensive. So peanut butter, sugar and an egg, and if you have it, a little vanilla extract as well to make some delicious peanut butter cookies. So let's get into it. So I do not have one of these fancy overhead tripod things, so this is as good as I can currently make it until I'm able to get one of those. So let's begin. First up, you will need 1 cup of peanut butter, which is approximately 250 grams. That is almost this entire jar, hence why I do not use my expensive peanut butter for this. And it is very sticky. I also prefer to use crunchy because it gives more texture. And there we have it. Next up is 1 cup of sugar. This I don't mind measuring in a cup, but peanut butter, well, that's a lot of effort. And I always like to smooth it out so I know it is 1 cup. And finally, we need 1 egg. You could potentially use a flax egg if you are vegan, which is a tablespoon of flax to 3 tablespoons of water. Mix it up and leave it for about 1/4 hour to gel up. And then add as usual. Man, this is a hard eggshell. Quick pause while I wash my hand and tidy up just here. So now we're just going to mix this all together. And you want to be sure that you are getting all of that egg incorporated. You don't want to see any streaks of it in your mixture, or it has not mixed in and your cookies are not going to be great. As you can see, it's pretty easy to mix because peanut butter is very soft and it shouldn't take too long at all. Okay, that looks good to me. So now we are going to get them onto our baking sheet. So here we are with my baking sheet with my very poorly cut parchment. You can of course use reusable silicone baking sheet as well. And we are just going to drop spoonfuls of this mixture onto this baking sheet. You want to keep them several inches apart because they will spread. It is entirely optional, but I just like mine to be a little better shaped before they go in. But if you are not fussy, you do not need to do this. You may just want to double check that all of the cookies have about the same amount of dough, so they are a more equal size. There we go. We're now going to pop these in the oven, and then by the power of magic of YouTube, they will be done. Last batch are out, and look at those. They look very tasty. Please ignore the slightly burnt edges. Our oven is quite old and has a bit of a hot spot at the back, but they will still be super good. So let's go and put the second batch in. And here they are, all done. A dozen peanut butter 3-ingredient cookies. These are so tasty and easy to make. I will pop the recipe, if you can call it that, in the description below if you want to have a go at making these for yourself. Welcome to Tuesday. So yesterday's clip was kind of short. I had planned to vlog more. I had to take my dad to an appointment at the doctor's, and my plan was that once he was in, I was just going to like vlog in the car about what I had done that day. But when I got there, the car park, which is really tiny, you can only put like 6 cars in this car park. It's a village doctor's surgery. It's very small. They were all taken, and not only were they kind of all taken, I managed to get a space, but every other space was full. The space where I had to pull in, there was someone stood right there in front of me. I think they were waiting for someone to come and collect them, and they didn't move the whole time. So the thought of kind of just looking at them and trying to vlog, no, that was not happening. And also it got really hot. It was like 25, 26. In my car, I don't know if this is true of all cars, but unless you have the engine running, the AC doesn't work, and all you get is the kind of blower air, but obviously it's not very cold without the actual AC being on. Essentially, I was just getting more and more kind of red because I have rosacea anyway, and when the temperature is that hot, my skin just flushes all over, and it's not the best look for vlogging. So I kind of abandoned that plan, and by the time I was done bringing him back from his appointment, it was kind of late, and that was the end of that. So this morning, what have we been up to this morning? I have been out and about doing some mystery shopping and some checks. I have 2 apps on my phone. I will pop the icons here so you can see what I'm talking about. One is called Shepper, one is called Roamler, and essentially they give you money to go do small tasks in supermarkets. Sometimes it's mystery shopping, so like buying something and talking about the experience you had. So most of the time it's just taking photos. For example, if there's a promotion going on with a particular brand, they want to know that that supermarket has set up this promotion properly, so that the brand, who obviously pays a lot of money for this kind of promotion in store, is actually getting the money's worth. It's very simple. You just go in, you take photos, and done. It's easy money. Obviously it's not a lot of money, but there were 2 stores on the list today that were within a few miles of each other, so I just kind of did both of them, banged that all out. It's really handy for things like in the lead up to Christmas, just extra cash coming in for pretty marginal effort. If you're someone who's out working a day job and you have supermarkets near you, it would be super easy to like tag on either before you start work, when you finish, or on your lunch break. Most of the time you get, I think, about 4 hours from accepting a job to go and do it. So you can't book them in advance, because I tried that once and that didn't work. So you need to accept it within a few hours of planning to do it. But other than that, it's just nice and easy, and who doesn't like a little extra easy money coming in? So yeah, I'm back from there. My calls were both in local Waitrose, and while I was in there, I had to get the obligatory delicious Waitrose pastry. Waitrose pastries are just the best in my opinion. And I got the cherry almond lattice. This is so good. This is my absolute favorite. I mean, I don't shop in Waitrose day to day because I'm just not that wealthy. But anyone knows that it is worth going in there for their in-store bakery. Everything is delicious, and the cherry almond lattice just happens to be my favorite. So of course I picked one of those up, and I'm going to enjoy that later on. Planned for the rest of the day, I need to have a shower because it was super hot out there, and also it's just hair wash day because, well, that's why it's tied up in this ponytail. So I'm gonna have a shower, and it'll probably be about time to have lunch. And then after that, I'm going to do some revising of my chapters. I'm almost at the midpoint now. I'm just having to remind myself that I am drafting this for beta readers, that I am only doing big picture things and not line and copy edits, because I keep getting caught up in, oh, there should be a full stop at the end of this dialogue, or there should be a comma because it's followed by a tag. I'm getting caught up in the small, teeny things which are important, but not right now, because obviously after beta feedback, I could be deleting various, dialogue and other things, and thus it would be an absolute waste of my time to correct it at that level if I'm potentially going to delete it. Obviously things like typos, if they're there and easy to change, I notice it, fine. I don't want to send it out full of typos or errors, but I'm not getting too precious about it. I'm just trying to skip over. Essentially, does it make sense? And the person who's reading this knows that it's not going to be edited to that level quite yet. As long as the story makes sense, that's good enough for me. So I'm just trying to resist the urge to get too deep into line edits, because there is no point at this stage of doing that. So I said I'm going to go hop in the shower, grab some lunch, and then we can get into doing more edits and getting ever closer to getting this out to bases. Good morning and welcome to Thursday. I have to pop out very soon, but I wanted to hop on and vlog this while I still had it in my brain. This morning I have been working in Canva doing some cover reveal graphics, but not for the Lunar Quartz Library, because as we know that's quite some way away. I am basically working on a little bit of a secret project that is pertaining to my first 3 books, Cozy Autumn, Cozy Winter and The Magic of Home. Because apparently writing 1 book is not enough for me, I've had to add on a little something extra. Essentially the idea came to me whilst I was writing this novel. I just thought, what else could I potentially add to my back catalogue or streams of revenue that wouldn't take up too much time, because obviously writing a novel is quite time intensive, and would also just be a little something extra for the fans. Because let me tell you, I've had so many Instagram messages from people that just absolutely love these little books about cozy living. I'm aware that possibly moving to cozy fantasy, they might not have a crossover audience, which is fine. It's not a problem. But I thought, what can I do that's just a little something for those fans that have been buying my books for day one and are still following me on Instagram, and really deserve a little something extra from the non-fiction side of my writing. So I have been creating a cover reveal graphic for a new title that ties into those 3 books, and I'm very excited. It's not going up until the 1st of July, and when you see it on Instagram you'll see why. But yeah, I'm excited to get that out. Obviously that's not going to require as much in the way of launch efforts as the Lunar Quartz Library will, but it's just a little something extra for those people that have been with me since the beginning, and I hope they enjoy it. I have invested in getting a cover professionally made for this one. My first 3 books, all the covers were done by me, because obviously most of us indie authors, at least in the beginning, are bootstrapping as much as we can, but I have obviously made money from the sale of those books, and I was able to put that towards both publishing the Lunar Quartz Library and doing a cover for this upcoming title. And it is a different style of cover to what I have done previously, and I am intrigued as to how it will do in terms of whether people prefer this style of cover, how it's going to kind of look on the page and everything. It is a more similar style to other books on things like Hygge and Lorgum and other kind of cozy vibe type books. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what people think of the cover, if it possibly encourages more people to buy, because let's be honest, covers that are professionally made tend to look better unless you are particularly gifted in graphic design. Whereas I think for my covers, my theory was keep it simple, because I am not gifted in graphic design. I took actually inspiration from Shea McGee's Studio McGee Interiors book. I'll pop a little photo there. Just the idea of this sort of one picture, the title and the author. I'm like, this is super simple. Yes, I'm not going to have it to that standard, but keeping it simple meant that in my eye it looked vaguely more professional than if I tried to do something more fancy. And I kept that theme for both Cozy Autumn and Cozy Winter. Magic of Home, I decided to do something a little different with an illustration. But again, that was sort of, done in Canva, as were the rest of them. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how a different style of cover, but the same kind of subject, does for sales. So I'm excited to get that out later this month. Exact date will be on the cover reveal. If you go follow me on Instagram, you can go check it out. And obviously when it gets close to the date, I will reveal a little bit more here on YouTube, because I think if you're following me here on YouTube, you deserve a few extra insights as opposed to just following me on Instagram. But it's still a little early for those. So I've done that. I need to go run a couple of errands, and then of course we will be back to doing some more revisions on these chapters, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about having to redraft some of those chapters following a big overhaul of the romance subplot, but I will pop in and talk about that on the next clip because I gotta go. So I will see you in a second. So I am back from running my errands. The sky has gotten very grey and it has done a little bit of a rain outside, but it is still quite warm. So it's just feeling kind of warm and also very humid. But that aside, much better than the other seriously hot days we've had, so I can't really complain too much. So as I said in the previous clip, I had at least two chapters, it was two chapters that I had to completely rewrite from scratch because they no longer made sense after I had made significant changes to the romance subplot. The romance subplot had been bothering me the whole time writing the first draft, because to begin with, there was no romance subplot. It just hadn't kind of come into my mind that that's what I want to do. And to be honest, my book is very much focused on female friendship, because I feel like books focused on female friendships for women who are in their 30s and 40s and beyond are lacking. It tends to be a theme in YA for obvious reasons, but beyond that, it's just kind of lacking. And I feel that's not right, because trying to maintain friendships as you get older becomes incredibly difficult. You know, people kind of are in your life one minute and then they're out, because life is so ever changing at this age. You know, you might have children or caring responsibilities, and it's not necessarily that you want to stop being friends with someone or anything like that. Sometimes just things happen, and you know, the kind of friendships that we had when we were younger, they start to fade away, and they're not quite the same as we get older, or maybe we don't have as much time to devote to them. So that was why I wanted to make sure that female friendship was front and center in this story, as opposed to the romance. But as I was writing, I was like, actually, I think a romance subplot would be of benefit here, and that it would potentially bring this book to a wider audience, because most people who are reading fantasy are expecting something romantic in there, unless it's high fantasy, where that tends to be less of a thing. So I kind of came up with a romance subplot. The plot itself was okay, but the romantic interest was not. I kind of started out with more of a grumpy sunshine vibe, with the love interest being grumpy and my main character being more sunshine, but it never really vibed. It didn't feel how I wanted it to. It just felt off. But I thought, I'm going to finish this first draft and then I'm going to come back and revisit it, because as I was writing, I was like, I can't figure out what I'm going to do with it. So let's just leave it and come back to it. And once I'd finished that first draft, I basically had my entire whiteboard here filled with like notes and ideas, and I was reading various books about tropes and romantic interests and different kind of, you know, pairings and whatnot. And after a while, it became clear that one, I was probably putting too much thought into this subplot, because by definition, it's a subplot. It is not the front and center of the book, and I was essentially overthinking it, because, well, we all overthink things, right? Essentially, I could take the pressure off with this subplot and introduce the character in a way that felt much more in line with cozy fantasy, that it didn't have to be so epic. I think that was my problem, is that I was trying to make it far more epic than any subplot should be. If I were writing a romantasy, I think possibly the plot might have fit better, but I'm not. So I just scaled it back, and I changed how the character is. There is no longer anything like Grumpy Sunshine. I scaled it back, I simplified, and the kind of pieces, they started to come together. So yeah, now I know how this plot is going, and I know what's going to happen. I feel a lot better about it now than I did when I was doing the first draft. It took me a while to redraft those two, because it wouldn't work just to simply change a few things. Just the whole scenes, none of it made any sense now. But I realized I did have a character who did not yet have a name. They only had a particular job role, and I thought actually that would be the perfect slot for the love interest of this book. So I kind of slotted them in there and threw out whatever vague notion of a character I had for that particular role. They're now gone. And once I had that, the two chapters, they came together really well. So that's been the most major part of the process so far. Everything else has been a lot less dramatic. I am aiming to get to the midpoint of my book by the end of the week, and then to move into the second part of Act 2 next week, and then after that to finish Act 3, and then to betas. So I'm still looking at 2 weeks, maybe just a little bit over, to get it out. And then the exciting part of getting all the feedback. So that is my plan, and that is what I will be doing for the next 3 days, just absolutely solidly concentrating and getting that done, because I just want this out and read and getting feedback so I can get it really ready to actually go out into the world. So that is my plan for the weekend, and I am looking at the time on here and I'm realizing this vlog is getting a bit long, so I am going to end it here because it seems like a very sensible place to do so. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button. I upload a vlog here once a week and a chatty topic video once a week, typically on a Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.